When Governor Tina Kotek ordered a pause on highway tolling, she ordered it to be paused back in May and have it last until 2026. Well, when she said that, many drivers, in fact, many of you viewers, were thrilled. But the decision does carry impacts, and now we know what they are. The Department of Transportation says without the tolling money, they're going to have to cut back on some of the planned projects. First, let's get one thing out of the way. The Interstate Bridge project, not impacted. The funding for that comes from the Oregon legislature, also from Washington's legislature, and from the feds, we all hope, and later in the process, tolls. But let's stick to our topic. What projects will be put on hold in Oregon? Right now, ODOT is working on adding a third lane in each direction to the Abernethy Bridge on I-205 near Oregon City. ODOT is also making the bridge stronger so that it will survive a major earthquake. That's called Phase 1, and it's not going to be affected by the tolling pause. But it would have tolls that are, I shouldn't say but, and it will have tolls on the Abernethy Bridge to help pay for that construction in 2026. Here's the but Phase 2 would be put on hold. That would add a lane in each direction along a 7-mile stretch west of the Abernethy Bridge. It would also include seismic upgrades or replacements of 9 other bridges along that corridor, including the Tualatin Bridge. The Department of Transportation says without those tolls starting sooner, it might run out of money, and that's why it needs to change or stop some of the construction schedules. It blames the changing scope of some projects and construction price inflation. For example, back in 2017, when the plan was to widen Interstate 5 at the Rose Quarter and it was approved, well, the estimated cost then was like $450 million. Now the plan there is not only to widen the interstate, but also to provide a freeway cap over the top that's thick enough to hold big buildings. And the cost is now estimated at $1.5 billion to $1.9 billion. So yeah, the price tag has grown significantly. They're also spending another $40 million for more design work there. But without tolling, ODOT plans to put a pause on the I-5 Rose Quarter project. Work would also stop on the Bruin Bridge. However, the plan to place tolls along several parts of I-5 and 205 in the greater metro area, well, that would go forward beginning in 2026. The assumption is that the tolls will be in place and generate the money needed to pay for the tolling infrastructure. The goal of the tolls there is to cut down on traffic jams and to use them for funding. The cost of getting, by the way, the back end of the tolling program up and running for the greater metro area, I was surprised when I saw this number. I don't know what you'll think, but let me know. $114 million. Yesterday, ODOT presented its new plan to the State Transportation Commission. They agreed the recommendations forwarded to the documents to the Governor, Tina Kotek, for final approval. Near the end of the meeting, the board chair, Julie Brown, the general manager of the Rogue Valley Transportation District in Southern Oregon, said, hey, nobody's going to be happy with the plan.
Everyone is frustrated, and there are going to be people who are continually frustrated as we leave this meeting because they don't like the decision that was made by the commission. But we're doing the best that we can. It's a very difficult decision.
One of the commission members is Lee Byer. He's a former lawmaker who ran the committee that originally approved many of these projects way back in 2017. He spoke up for rural Oregon and said it's important that ODOT not take money from other parts of the state to cover the metro.
We got to keep in mind that we're responsible for statewide transportation, and in order to keep political balance, we have to make sure that we don't neglect the other 90% of the state as we move forward on this. We have a lot of projects that are in the STIP that are important. They're just as important to those communities as these projects are important to the metro area.
So STIP means Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. Governor Kotek ordered the pause on tolling this past May. Under her order, it can begin January 1st, 2026. So what do you think about all this? Are the delays prudent? Do you think maybe they're just a scare tactic being used by ODOT? Maybe something else? Let us know what you think, will you? Our email is thestory@kgw.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.